Welcome to the Finance Marketing Podcast, a show that empowers finance professionals to market their businesses in ways that feel good and actually achieve results. I'm your host, Hillary. I've been working with folks in financial services to develop marketing strategies that work and create results-oriented marketing content since 2020. And I've learned a lot about what works in finance marketing, what doesn't work, and where financial services pros get stuck. Join us each Friday as we explore real, effective ways to market your finance business and connect with folks who truly embody your ideal clients. Hello, advisors. This week's episode is something a little bit different and something that I'm also very excited about. So instead of a typical interview, my two guests and I are digging into some original research that the three of us commissioned together this year, which was a study of more than 100 Colorado prospects who are actively searching for a financial advisor right now. And we were able to ask them exactly how they research financial advisors, what they're looking for on advisor websites, and maybe most importantly, why they decide not to choose an advisor. Now, my two co-authors who are joining me are John Way and Katie Lantukh. John is a B2B lead gen and conversion specialist and founder of pipelineapp.io. He specializes in helping professional service providers capture and convert the website visitors who did not book a meeting. Some of you may be familiar with John. He has been on the podcast before, and I've hosted a couple of different webinars with him talking about newsletters. And Katie is a brand positioning and messaging strategist and founder of Murphy Marketing. She spent over a decade helping founders and small teams turn deep expertise into a message that attracts more of their favorite clients. And as marketers and conversion specialists, John and Katie and I were really interested in hearing real insights and searching behaviors from prospects who are actively looking for financial advisors. And one thing that we found that we weren't really expecting to find was that advisor prospects fall into three very distinct types, which is first-timers, so people who are looking for an advisor for the very first time, searchers, which is people who have been looking for an advisor for more than 6 months and haven't found anyone that they felt compelled enough to work with yet, and switchers, which is people who are working with an advisor currently and are actively looking to switch because they're dissatisfied with the service that they are getting. Now, each one researches a little bit differently, and each one needs to hear something different from your marketing. So in this episode, we are breaking down what the data says, what it means for your website and messaging, and the practical steps you can take to stand out to the exact prospects that you want to attract. So whether you're looking for those first timers, potentially kind of younger audience that may be high income, but low net worth at this point, or if you're looking to attract people who are currently working with advisors that they're not happy with. There's so much in here that you can act on. So without further ado, let's dive in. Katie and John, I am so excited to be here with you today on this episode of the Finance Marketing Podcast. And we are going to talk today about a study that the three of us commissioned asking 100 plus Colorado prospects who are actively looking for advisors right now how they research advisors. And we found some really interesting insights. So I'm excited to get into that with you guys.
Yes, we had some very, very unexpected finds. So super excited about this.
Yeah. And you guys have actually done a study similar to this before, but in the Atlanta market, and you were looking not for advisors, but specifically for B2B businesses. So you have at least some baseline, I think, for what you were expecting this research to show. I want to start with you, John. What do you think was the most surprising thing that came out of this research?
The biggest thing for me is the fact that the prospect who's looking for an advisor don't fall into just one monolithic type of prospect. They have three very different, we basically uncovered three very distinctive prospect types. The first timers, meaning the people who have never researched an advisor before. You have the searchers, meaning people who have been searching but haven't found one yet. And then this is the most surprising one, and I'm curious to know, Hillary, if you saw this as well, the switchers, people who are actively looking to switch from an advisor that they have, meaning that they're like secretly dissatisfied with who
Yeah.
they're working with. That was very surprising to me. I did not expect that at all. So that to me was like a huge surprising find. But what about you, Hillary?
As I think about it, I think when I first saw it, I was surprised like you. And the more that I've sat with it, because it's been a few days now at the time of recording since we got the results from the study, I'm actually not as surprised as I once was, and I'm really glad the research revealed this because I can think of several clients that I've worked with who they say, yeah, a lot of our clients have worked with advisors in the past and they were not happy. And they really love that we offer XYZ. Like we're looking at the tax planning picture, we're looking at helping them figure out how they're going to pay for their children's college. We're not just looking at their investment portfolios and managing investment. So I think that really aligns with what I've heard from clients and how they kind of differentiate themselves. Katie, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Were you expecting these different, I guess, buyer personas or types of buyers to come through in the research?
I think it was super validating for me because so much of my work is trying to help people put themselves in their audience's shoes. And for the study to literally illuminate that and show that, especially in this kind of niche audience that we were working on, it's so validating. And I think it goes back to what we're finding in the broader marketing world in general is like people want it to feel personalized, and it has to go beyond putting your first name in the email or whatever that like kind of easy
Mm-hmm.
button of personalization is. But it's now like, how do we really put ourselves in their shoes? And in this case, it's the context of like, what have they done before? What's their mindset? Like, what's their frame of reference? I think all of that, like when the marketing speaks to that, it's really strong.
Mm-hmm.
I think to your point, Katie, one of the big things that kind of really showcased here is like a one size fits all cookie cutter type of message doesn't work, right? Because there are different types of people and they're looking for very different things.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be able to speak to all three of those types of people as opposed to just going, okay, I think a one size fits all type of messaging or whatever is going to work, or
Yeah.
one size fits all website is going to work. And that it clearly shows that it doesn't. That was
Mm-hmm.
very surprising to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what I love about the way that you put this study together on the page, John, is that for each question we asked, and we asked this group of people, I think 7 different questions,
Yeah.
you can compare question by question to see what did the first timer say, what did the searchers say, what did the switchers say.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's also really helpful. And just to give an overview, some of the questions that we asked is what are you looking for on an advisor's website when you go search for them? And overwhelmingly, between all three of them, they were looking to see what the advisor's cost, fees, and commissions were like. So that overwhelmingly was a question they were trying to answer. And then another question that we asked them was if they can't find the answers on the website, where do they turn? And you can see there's actually some really stark differences between the 3 different audience types on where they turn. And a lot of them, especially for the switchers, they just move on to another advisor. They're not going to be chasing down information if they can't find it. They're already frustrated with their current advisor, so
Mm-hmm.
they want to know that their next advisor is really transparent and has that stuff that's easily searchable. And so I think, I'm thinking specifically of my clients right now who always say our current clients come to us because they weren't happy with their former advisor. That needs to be really, really clear on your website. If you're already getting clients in that sort of market,
Mm-hmm.
you can
Hmm.
look at this study and you can see, okay, this is exactly what they're looking for when they're looking for advisors. Here's how I can speak to them more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was interesting. That on that particular one, that particular question, I thought it was interesting how few of those people in all three different personas, how few of them actually contacted the advisor. The vast majority of them was, oh, I'm going to move on,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm going to ask AI, or ask my friends, or look at a third party, or whatever it is. But very rarely do people go, okay, I don't have the answer, so I'm going to click that button, or I'm going to call the advisor or something like that. And Katie, this is something that we see a lot in the broader marketing world now, especially with AI and how easy it is that people just look at the website, they make a determination, and very rarely when they go, oh, I can't find the answer, I'm going to call someone, I'm going to call the expert. Like they just move on. That's like the reality of the world, unfortunately, that we live in today now.
I think this is so important for advisors too, because I always have advisors ask me, should I list my fees on my website? Should I not? I don't want people to choose me just because like I'm the lowest cost option. That's not why people choose me. And I think that there's some stuff that's really worth digging into there is it's not about showing your fees because you're competing on price or not competing on price or anything like that. People aren't necessarily looking for your fees to see if you have the best price. They're looking for your fees so they can see what to expect.
Yeah,
And if
they
you
don't
have
want to be
Yeah.
surprised.
yeah, exactly. They don't want to be surprised. They don't want to waste their time getting on a call with you only to find out that you charge $50,000
Yeah.
when they were expecting you to charge $7,000 or $10,000, which is pretty reasonable for a lot of advisors. A lot of advisors I know charge less than that. And so, yeah, I think it's just, you just have to give people clarity because if you don't, they're not going to reach out to you at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing that we kind of find is that people will ask AI or ask their friends who unfortunately, as we know, right, may not know the right answer. But the person who asked the question has no idea if that's the wrong answer or not. So they're just going to make an assumption. It's like, oh, kind of like to your point, oh, I asked someone and they said your fees are $10,000. Well, that's more than what I was willing to pay, so I'm going to move on. And that answer could be completely wrong. So to me, like kind of like to your point, Hillary, like the best way to make sure that the person gets the truth is when you do it yourself, right? That's what I would definitely recommend.
Yeah, yeah. Can we talk a little bit about, because we've mentioned, there's these three different types of people who are looking for advisors. I'm going to repeat it. The first timers, the searchers, people who've been looking, but they haven't found that match yet, and then the switchers. But the advisor only has one website, right? So how should they think about, well, what do I do with this information? Knowing there's three possible types of people, should I pick one to talk to? Should I try to talk to all three? I think, Katie, I'd love to hear your perspective on that since you are the expert at websites.
Yeah. I think there's kind of a two-part answer. One, I think the first one is, who do you most want to work with? Like, if you think that you can uniquely serve the first timers, then that's the answers that you should give them. Like, put everything together with them in mind. But then I think the other side of it is, if you can serve all three of those people really well, there's going to be some common threads that all three of them need to know. And maybe you just go down and check all the boxes for each person. And it doesn't all have to be on your homepage, but maybe it lives in blog posts, or you have a podcast, or you send emails. Like, there's so much opportunity for information. And as long as you're sharing and being transparent as much as is appropriate, I think that really helps your buyer get a good understanding and builds a lot of trust with them too.
I think one thing to kind of add to that is that the question that we asked that I haven't seen in a lot of other surveys, which is what causes these prospects to not choose an advisor? And I think kind of like to the content thing that we're talking about here is if you, and we talked a little bit about it earlier on this episode, which is if you can really narrow in on the type of person that you're talking to, then I think that's how you can potentially cover all three of your bases if you serve all three of your bases. Like the biggest thing that was a shock to me in that question was what causes someone not to choose the advisor is sounding like everyone else, meaning there's nothing unique about you. So even if you go the extra mile of saying, okay, if you have experienced or if you have worked with other advisors before, even saying something like, give us, ask us for a second opinion,
Mm-hmm.
or have us, we do this extra thing, or something like that. I think that would, even little language like that would help someone understand that, oh, you're kind of speaking to me because I have someone that I work with. You're offering to give a second opinion, stuff like that. I think
Mhm.
would be really helpful.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking at it right now, and it was really the switchers and the first timers who that was their first reason that they didn't go with an advisor was they just sounded like everyone else.
Mhm.
There was no differentiator, nothing unique. And that to me is another confirmation of how important it is for advisors to have a niche. It's
Yeah.
so important for them to have a specific niche, and not only a specific niche, but an underlying reason. A lot of times I think we call it purpose driven in
Mhm.
marketing for why you serve that niche. You don't just serve medical doctors because they have money, right? You need to have, because lots of advisors serve doctors,
Mhm.
but if you have a story or a reason that you love working with doctors, that's going to differentiate you. It doesn't all have to come down to like services that you offer or, your process. And those can be differentiators as well, for
Mhm.
sure. But having that niche and that underlying reason for why you serve that niche is such a great way to differentiate yourself and be different.
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, I'm curious, Hillary and Katie here, since you guys are experts at content, how would you counsel someone who is kind of scared about niching, right? Because most people are like, I serve, early career all the way through people who are in retirement, business owners and high salary executives. And right, they want to serve everybody.
Mhm.
And to tell them that, oh, you have to niche down, that seems scary. So how would you counsel them to do that?
I'll let you go first, Katie.
I always push back on that because I think the reality is if you ask a few more questions, most people don't actually want to serve everybody. There may be that you do want to work with a variety of industries and you don't want to niche in that way. And I think that's totally fine. But at the same time, maybe it's a stage of business, or maybe it's a stage of your career, or maybe I just really think that there's always going to be one piece of the pie that you uniquely are able to solve or serve really well. And I think that's the niche. And it may not be an industry or a type of person or a demographic or even a region, but I think there's always like a thread that you can find that like connects with your personal purpose or beliefs or what you just care a lot about. And so I if people are hesitant about the industry niche, I'm like, that's fine, me too. Like I don't only want to work with the same industry, but I only do like a certain moment of time and a certain service. And that's how I've chosen to niche for now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I always go back with advisors. Kind of where I start in this conversation is that old saying that's like if you are talking to everyone, you're
Mm-hmm.
talking to no one. Everyone's just gonna tune you out. No one's gonna listen because you're not saying anything meaningful enough to one specific person. And so niching, even though it feels restrictive in a sense, it's
Mm-hmm.
a faster way to clients because the right people who resonate with your message are going to see you and say, oh my gosh, yes. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just saw the other day. So my dad is a retired CPA. So up until like a year ago, I didn't have to work with a CPA or an accountant. He just did my taxes. So now I'm in that fun stage where I'm looking for the right CPA. I worked with one for the past 2 years. It didn't work out. Looking for another one. And I came across someone in my search who is a CPA for marketing agencies. And I was like, oh, I'm reaching out immediately. Yes,
Sure.
please. You
Mm.
understand what my business goes through. You understand what our household income is going to look like, all of these things. And so he immediately got my call, this CPA. And so it's just if someone can see that you help them with their exact specific problem, they
Mm-hmm.
are going to be dying to reach out to you and to
Yeah.
say, "Oh my gosh, nobody else does this," or "I've never come across somebody else who works with someone just like me." So
Mm-hmm.
it's just such a faster way to build trust, and it's such a faster way to get someone to take the next step with you because they're actually excited. And I think too, and another thing that I always say is just because you niche down doesn't mean that other people aren't going to reach out to you.
Yeah.
Like, I am very niched down in financial advisors. That's who I serve. But I still get CPAs reaching out to me. I even had a dentist reach out to me, and I was like,
Mhm.
I actually don't think I'm the best person to work with you, but they wanted to work with me. So you can still say yes to people if they reach out outside
Mhm.
of your niche.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So let's look at some other findings from the research. I think
Well,
that
this one I thought was actually really interesting. And I know, Hillary, that you had done some episodes and posts about referrals. And this one,
mm,
the last one was very interesting, which is at the outcome, right? So these people looking for advisors, looking for wealth managers, after their research, what happened? Like, who do they actually go with?
mhm,
And to me, it was very interesting that, like, almost half of them, for each different type of persona, they ended up going with people that they already knew at the very beginning.
mhm,
And if you're coming in late stage in the game, meaning they have already started searching, whether it's a referral or an internet search or something like that, trying to bump someone off their initial list was very difficult. It certainly seemed like. And so it, to me, it just showed like how important it was to make sure that you plant the seeds in your prospect's mind before they start looking.
mhm,
I know it sounds obvious, but I think a lot of people don't take the time to realize that, like, that's what marketing messages are, that's what these webinars are for, or that's what these
Mhm.
LinkedIn posts are for, newsletters are for, because by the time that you ask for a referral when somebody's in the moment, it's like it's like already too late. You should have been
mhm,
in their mind beforehand. And
Yeah.
mhm.
that to me was really interesting.
Yes, I agree. I think what this says to me is because I think a lot of people think about marketing and they're like, marketing is purely to bring new people into my orbit. And that is one goal of marketing, right?
Mhm.
But I think, especially for advisors, possibly even the primary goal of marketing is to convert the people who've been referred to you. I
Yeah.
mean, most advisors have built their business off of referrals, at least in decades past, right? And I think that's changing a little bit to some extent. But the referrals are not just picking up the phone and calling you anymore.
Mhm.
They are
Yeah.
going and they are looking at who you are online. They're looking at what you have to say to really see what you're about. They may
Mhm.
be researching other people alongside you too. So it just, I don't know. That's what I took from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Katie, did you have any thoughts about just the fact that people went and searched, but they still ended
Yeah.
up with somebody on their short list?
Yes, I thought that was really interesting and like very much echo what you guys said about you want to be in their orbit and be known to them even before they're ready to switch. But I
Mm-hmm.
also think the other side of that was so interesting is like not quite half, but a huge chunk of that pie didn't switch. They stayed with their person and they're like, I'll kick the can down the road. I'll figure this out later. And
Yeah.
so I think there has to be like to me, I'm like, oh my goodness, there's so much opportunity for like to capture that or to take advantage,
Hmm.
in a good way to
Mm-hmm.
help those people that want to change. So then I'm like, well, what information should they have seen or like what would be helpful to help them like not kick the can and to make that decision sooner rather than later?
Yeah, I think too, especially for these first timers and the searchers. The searchers is interesting. We should look at that more specifically. So the first timers, 45% of them chose an advisor they started their research with. While it's notable that that's nearly half, it's also less than half. Like, we're assuming that
Hmm.
of the referrals that you're getting,
Mhm.
less than half of them are going with you. That seems like a real gap to me, a real
Mhm.
opportunity. And I think that if we look back to question 6, which was why did you not
Hmm.
choose an advisor that you found or that you were starting with? And it was, well, they sounded like everyone else and there was nothing unique about them. That seems like maybe the thread to pull on there is make yourself more unique for the type of referrals that you know you're getting already from your current
Mm-hmm.
clients.
Mm.
Curious to know if you guys agree or have different thoughts about that.
Yeah, it was when I was doing some research as a result of this study, looking at different advisor websites. You would not believe how many of them said financial freedom, financially independent. I mean, they were great, but they all sounded the same. And kind of
Yeah.
like to your point, like if I was looking for a financial advisor and I saw five of them all say the same thing, I wouldn't know which one to pick, and then I'd be overwhelmed because I don't want to talk to all five. So then I'd be like, okay, maybe I should keep looking.
Yeah.
It kind of echoes like what a buyer actually did in response to the study. So yeah, I completely agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think, and I'm just thinking of a particular advisor that I work with who serves tech executives. And on his website, it's I help tech executives not blow their commission checks. Like, that is so much more visceral and real than financial freedom or like
Yes.
retire comfortably. Like,
Yes.
that's just
Yeah.
so much more specific. Like, what tech exec is going to be like, I don't know if that's the advisor for me. Like, no one wants to blow their commission checks.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that.
I think a lot of websites could be more focused on what their clients' actual goals are. Like
Mm-hmm.
we understand the big goals, you know, people want to retire securely, people want to be financially secure. We get that. But kind of like what we brought up earlier, it's like how about like simple things like, you know, I need to make sure and this actually I know quite a bit, which is I have executives who are tired of the corporate life, and so they're like, I want to start a business. I
Hmm.
don't see a lot of that, but I know
Hmm.
that that happens a lot. You know, if a financial
Mm-hmm.
advisor could say something like that to that goal.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Get you financially free for your next chapter, which is to start a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a real goal that tons of people have.
Yeah,
Well, and that's a
exactly.
more like immediate need because if I'm 40 and I'm thinking about financial freedom or retirement versus I don't want to blow my next commission check, I'm way more motivated to not blow my commission check next week and to
Yeah,
make a change to get a financial advisor that's going to help me not do that
yeah,
versus something that I could probably kick down the road for another at least 5 years before I really. So I think there's a short term and a long term statements around that you could tease out for your ideal customer to really speak
yeah.
to them and help them understand you should make the change now if you're ready.
Yeah,
That is a real problem, Katie, that a lot of advisors who serve pre-retirees have in their marketing is you really need to start planning 10 to 15 years before retirement. Well, the urgency doesn't really come until 2 years before
Right.
retirement. And by then it's too late.
yeah,
There's so much more you could have done. So that's a real problem. So I think if you can get to one of those more urgent problems
Mm-hmm.
with your target market as well, you're also going to see better results from your
Yeah.
marketing too.
Yeah.
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 You know,
Yeah.
on the flip side of question number seven, when we're talking about the opportunity of the people who, as Katie mentioned, who was looking but didn't find anybody, I think the other, on the flip side, it would definitely incentivize me if I was in a financial advisory practice or wealth management to survey my existing customers to try to find who are those secretly dissatisfied
Hmm.
because they're out there looking. You know, the study was real. I was really surprised by how many people of the people that are actively looking are switchers. So
Hmm.
it's like, oh, you should definitely survey your clients' existing customer base to see if you could be doing more things for them or providing more value or something instead of maybe taking them for granted or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that I talk about with referrals all the time. So before you start a referral ask, and I've heard this from other people in my network who are advisor coaches. So I'm going to name drop John Randall. He's a really big proponent of this, of asking people, is there anything we could be doing better? Or is there anything that we could improve to make this a better experience for you? And kind of starting that conversation there. And the hope is that most of your clients are going to say, no, 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 we love working with you, right? So then it's a natural opportunity to say, well, if there's anyone else in your situation,
Yeah.
we'd love to talk to them, But it's also from a retention standpoint, if you do hear feedback that, oh, yeah, it'd be really nice if you did this, or we weren't really happy about this, or whatever it might be, then you're going to keep those searchers too, because you have the opportunity to make that improvement. So whether
Yeah.
you're looking for more referrals or you're looking to increase client retention, asking for feedback is such a good
So
strategy.
important.
Yes.
So important.
Yeah. Well, let's see. John, I'll ask both of you. John, let's go first with John. Is there anything else from the study that you think is just important to bring up before we wrap this conversation?
I think maybe the only thing is the breakdown of the three different types. So if you look at the survey, you can see that first timers kind of mimic your early career people.
Uh-huh.
The searchers are the people maybe a little further ahead in their career, maybe middle of the career, and then the switchers are the people who are strongly established. They built up a sizable investable assets and so on. So that definitely, I think we were talking a little bit earlier about like who you serve. And
Mhm.
if you look at the type of assets that your clients are bringing in, that will give you a clue as to whether they fall under first timers, searchers, and switchers.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great final note. I do think that for a lot of the advisors that I work with, the switchers really are the market that they're already going after and maybe
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's insightful, especially from a website perspective.
Hmm. Katie, anything that you want to note before we wrap?
I think I imagine if I was an advisor looking at this study, I would think, wow, this is really interesting information. And then now what? I think it
Mhm.
could be overwhelming to look at all of this. And so I think my encouragement would be to maybe take some time and even look at the list of clients that you have and start categorizing people maybe by these three things, like were they switchers, were they first timers or searchers, and then narrow down your what's next. What do you do with this by who do you want to attract more of, and then
Mhm.
maybe that'll make this feel more practical and doable.
I love that, which I think leads us to we are actually planning an event to help advisors really know what to do with their website specifically as a result of this study. John, do you want to share the details around that event?
Sure. Yeah. But to echo what y'all have said, this study is great from a data perspective. So you kind of understand the general industry, what's going on. This event that we're going to be having, so it's an in person event. It will be in August the 12th on a Wednesday in Denver. And the purpose of that is to actually apply this particular study and the findings that we have specifically to your website. So understand the data. Data is one, but how does it apply to you specifically? And what changes do you need to make sure that it actually you can affect and attract these different types of buyer personas that are coming as visitors? So that's what we're going to be doing. In-person event in Denver. It's going to be on August the 12th, and we're going to be having it at the Marriott over by Cherry Creek. So I definitely encourage everyone to come check it out, and you'll see the link on the show notes for this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you guys have done a version of this event in Atlanta, and I've seen pictures of it, and you told me about it. And what I love about it is there is a website lab session where you actually print out every single attendee's website and put it up on the wall so
Mhm.
that everybody can go through and view and give feedback on every website. So it's just really hands-on. And I love that aspect of it. I've never seen an event like this before, much less for advisors. So I'm very excited for this.
Yeah, it's an eye-opening experience for a lot of people.
Mhm.
So definitely encourage them to come. All right, so definitely join us in person in Denver on August the 12th on a Wednesday. It will be a whole day for this particular workshop, and I think it'll be an amazing experience for everyone. So definitely come.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Finance Marketing Podcast. If you're eager to market your business in a way that feels good and actually gets results, sign up for the Finance Marketing Podcast newsletter in the show notes so you never miss another episode. If you liked what you heard today, please be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite listening app and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you back here next Friday.